Kia ora, Nicola Brown. Wonderful to have you here on our Dunedin Stories podcast.
Hi, lovely to be here.
Yeah, and I think we've got some exciting things to talk about today.
We have.
Would you like to let the audience know who you are and the two different hats that we might talk about, perhaps?
Yeah, sure. Well, I got in touch with you because in a few weeks' time I have a show coming up at Dunedin Fringe Festival. And it's called Space Invaders, and I performed it last year at Dunedin Fringe too, but I've travelled with it and I've changed it a bit since then. And I'm only on for one night, which is the 13th of March. The first night of the festival. It's very exciting, and it's at Te Whare or Rukutia, so I'd love to have a good crowd, and I thought it was a great chance to talk to people about what it's about. And I love what you're doing with this podcast. So
thank you.
Yeah,
one night only.
Night only. Yeah,
there's some impetus to get your tickets, folks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so right up front, how do they get tickets to that?
The Dunedin Fringe website. Everything goes through that.
Dunedinfringe.nz, I think, is where we're heading.
That's the right place, I'm sure.
Fabulous. Yeah. Such a great event. Every year, Dunedin holds this fantastic fringe event.
Yeah. This year is actually the 25th birthday, I believe.
Wow.
I hope I have the number right.
That's a milestone.
It's a big one this year, so it's going to be amazing. There's so many fantastic events and artists involved.
And it is a tricky thing, the economy in the world's a bit crazy, but we all need some laughter.
We do.
And some light.
We do.
In our lives.
We do. And
not that that's everything about Fringe, is it? I mean,
no, there's a lot of very deep, meaningful things that happen at Fringe too, but we all need art, don't we?
We do.
We all need, it's part of what enriches life and makes it so colourful.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to be part of. Last year was my first time being involved at Fringe Festival, and I think I've got the bug, to be honest. I've been to Auckland Fringe since then. I won a prize with my show last year, a touring prize, so I got to take it to Auckland Fringe, where I won 2 really big awards, which was amazing, Outstanding Comedy and Tahi Festival Outstanding Solo Performance. So the show's got some mana attached to it, and it's pretty exciting to be bringing it back. So
you wrote the show? This is your baby? Probably teenager now?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
I say primary school age probably.
Yeah.
It's my solo comedy show. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 6 years, and last year I felt like I have a great time as part of lineups, but it's time to do my own thing and see where that takes me. So it's a big jump from doing 6 minutes or 10 minutes or maybe 15 or something if you're headliner to actually a whole 50 to 60 minutes of comedy, and I was like, how on earth am I going to come up with that? But once I started, I kind of couldn't stop, actually. So it's all about cutting bits out.
Confidence you must have as well from being able to get up there and soak up the energy from yourself and from the audience.
It's funny, people often say you're so brave, and exactly what you're saying, like it takes so much confidence.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's true. I think stand-up comedians, we're just people with a lot of problems, and so we just get on stage and get other people to listen to us and pay for the pleasure. That's basically what we're doing.
I love that. The honesty. That's fabulous.
That's what I'm doing anyway.
So were you born to be a comedian, or was there another pathway that you thought your career or life might take?
I've been doing lots of other things. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've been doing that for 28 years. Yeah. So
you definitely probably needed some laughter and joy in life.
Well, it's funny again because, working with clients, there is a lot of lightness and laughter in that too. There's lots of things where you would not be laughing, and there's a lot of really, difficult and very serious conversations to be had. But also, my clients and I belly laugh. We really do. We actually, they know that I'm there for everything, and that I'm a real person too. And so it's a pretty special opportunity actually to have people trust you and bring everything, including the good, which is really great. You celebrate wins with people as well.
Yes, from my experience, far too many hours on a couch and money spent, but confronting those truths in our life, you do have to laugh about them because we can reflect on our behaviours and how we coped with something, and perhaps incredibly stupidly, and then go, oh my gosh, where are we going to go with that next step, and make sure that we're not creating even more carnage in our life.
Well, that it's reflection, right? And you can do that on your own, but you do it differently with an audience. And I guess your audience, when you're in therapy, is the therapist or the psychologist, right? There's a difference between talking ourselves through something and bouncing it off somebody else.
Yeah.
And you open up creative opportunities when you laugh. Like when there's a whole neuroscience to comedy, and it's pretty interesting. I'm only kind of embryonic in my understanding of it, but there's definitely, you know what it feels like when you've had a really good belly laugh, like when you've laughed so hard, usually with a bunch of friends or at something that you've seen or a story that somebody's told. And
usually it's because I fart.
Yeah, it's often to do with bodily functions. And that's actually what my show is about. It's all about body stuff.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is.
I did not know that, did I?
Right.
You hadn't told me that.
No, we didn't set that up.
That is brilliant.
Bodies are funny, aren't they? And they just get funnier and funnier as you get older.
From, like, your husband's farts, they don't get funnier. It's just your own.
Well, mine's
farts.
a wife, but I don't find them funny at all.
There we go.
No, only your own. Yeah, absolutely. They're offensive. If it's somebody else's, it's offensive. But if it's yours, it's
totally. I love it. So, Dunedin person, born and bred?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Born here, went to Logan Park High School.
Did you?
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, did you?
Wow. For 2 years.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Which 2 years were you there for?
Year 9 and year 10.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had some tricky stuff, which is why I spent some time on the couch.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And Target University?
Yes, did psychology here, and I didn't actually mean to become a psychologist. It's a funny thing, you'd think you'd do it really intentionally, but the first day of uni for me was in the late 80s, and it was when you had to actually rock up to a desk and talk to a person and fill in a form. There was no online stuff then.
Yeah.
So I walk up to the desk, because I thought what I was going to do was be an art historian. I thought I'd just swan around galleries for my whole life. And so I walk up to the art history desk, and I go to sign up, and the person on the desk said, "Oh, how did you do with art history at school?" I said, "I didn't do it at school." And they said, "Well, you won't be doing it here either, because that was a prerequisite. So, sorry, move away." So I stepped to the side.
Yes.
And then I'm staring into space thinking,
what do I do now?
Exactly. I have no other life plan. Like, what else will I do? And the next desk was psychology. And the person there called out, because they'd heard what had happened and they had nobody waiting to see them. So they called out, have you ever thought about psychology? And I was like, oh, okay. And so I actually got heckled into being a clinical psychologist.
Wow. And clearly it was a universe moment, if you like, because it's something you've obviously become really good at.
Yeah, I mean, when I did my undergrad psychology degree, I liked it more and more the further I got on, the more useful it seemed. Like, you're just learning a lot of stuff that actually you can apply to everyday life.
Yeah.
And then, so you do an undergraduate degree and then the extra 3 years to be a clinical psychologist. And so, I did all that here, and then later I did a PhD as well, and that was when I was lecturing at med school, and it was actually in medical education, which all comes together now with my show, because my show is a bit of medical education as well as being humour. So I'm delivering quite a serious message. Yeah, I'm delivering quite a serious message, but through humour. Okay. Yeah.
I'm very intrigued. I think I'm going to have to get some tickets to this event.
Great.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Come along. Yeah.
So, Dunedin, do you think it offers something unique in your industry as a clinical psychologist? I don't know. Has Dunedin got a specific type of problem child that needs to spend a lot of time with a psychologist?
I think the need for a clinical psychologist is pretty high everywhere right now. Throughout the country, there's a shortage. Only a very small number are trained every year. I don't think Dunedin is any maybe better or worse off than anywhere else, but there's plenty of us here. Yeah. There's a lot. I've got a lot of amazing colleagues, and I'm actually wanting to, because I'm always somebody once called me the queen of reinvention, and I'm always trying to find a new way of doing things, and I've actually just done some training in what's called walk and talk therapy. So it's what it sounds like. You're actually walking and talking at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I haven't got the logistics worked out in terms of exactly how I get started with that, but I want to get that off the ground too. So soon, hopefully, I will be making the most of our environment
at the same time while you're doing the walking and talking
doing
therapy.
Social media. Yeah, multitasking, absolutely, it's the way to go, isn't it?
I think the Queen of Reinvention's title was Madonna, but we can give you that for a New Zealand title.
Yeah, I can be the local one.
Yeah, I think that's
I'll take Princess. It doesn't have to be Queen, whatever.
And what about innovation in your industry? I mean, we're all seeing online diagnosis, online treatment, therefore supposedly there's no boundaries and they can be sitting in Cincinnati and deliver, maybe not because it's America, they're not allowed to do much.
No, you've got to be within your own.
They can be sitting in Melbourne and deliver services to somebody here in Dunedin. Is that real? Do you really think that's a real innovation that's happening or will happen?
Well, I think there's an element of that is good, which is the fact that COVID made us all aware, not all, but a lot of us aware that you can work more flexibly. So I see a lot more people now via telehealth or online than I used to. And it used to be kind of the belief that was an inferior form of therapy, but I don't actually think it is inferior. I think it's different. I don't think it's the same because you only get this much of anybody, right? So we wouldn't get each other from here down. You miss a lot of body language and all of the subconscious cues, like we could pick up scent that we're not aware that we pick up, etc. So you're missing all that, But having said that, it actually, I see lots of people who live rurally. There's no way they would have to spend a whole day to travel to a main centre to see a psychologist or a therapist and then travel back. It's a heap of money. And
accessibility-wise, it absolutely.
So accessibility, it's great.
Yeah.
And AI is, I guess there's going to be a whole lot of developments we can't even foresee at the moment, but there are some elements that are potentially quite helpful. Like there are some systems that are helping health professionals lighten their administrative load in a way that keeps patient data really safe. So we've got to be flexible. I think we've got to move with what's available and just keep using what already works, but also improving on it because we are needed and we have to make sure that we're sustainably available to people.
Yeah, it's the combination, isn't it, of the data that can be gained by wearing wearables or diagnostics of your eyes and your facial features and lifting of eyebrows and all that type of thing, which when coupled with the words that I'm saying, technology can say, well, that's only 50% true, or that person's feeling particularly down but trying to put a different persona on, or I don't know, for me I think it's just age and stage. This human to human, I get so much more value out of it, and I find myself just being utterly honest when I'm with the person. It's harder to put across what you perceive the other person wants to hear or see when you're face to face. I think it's so individual though, isn't it? Like what works best for one person is maybe not so much what's going to work for somebody else. I've recently started trialling using a form of AI which is developed for health professionals to help record notes during sessions, and it's really good, this form, in terms of the safety parameters that it has, but I have to check them thoroughly and correct them, and then I just cut and paste them into my client management system so they're not being uploaded anywhere. But it doesn't get everything right. It gets some stuff really right, like data, very fact-driven things it gets right, but the actual heart of the discussion is always missing. So I'm still just keeping some things in mind that I know it will miss, that I will have to add in. Like it doesn't pick up tone and seriousness.
It actually does pick those things, but it doesn't pick up often what's the key insight. And so the bit that the client and I might get most fired up about,
it's just a bullet point.
Or sometimes it's not even there, which is really interesting. I thought it was just a one-off thing when it was missing it the first day I used it, but now even though I actually sometimes say, let's reflect on what's the key thing you're going to take away, sometimes it just leaves that out altogether. So it's really fascinating. So it can't be a replacement. No. But it can be a useful tool.
Yeah, making your role easier to do and sort of achieve better outcomes, higher volumes and all of that without the administrative nightmare.
I think cutting down on the mental load for the clinician is really important, and there's forms now that are being used by lots of health professionals. There's lots of GPs that are using them, or physios, etc., that are using these tools just to, as you say, make things a bit more streamlined, and also to potentially, you can possibly see more people, but also I find, because I'm not taking notes so much now, I'm more engaged. We actually get through more.
Yeah, you will.
Because they're not waiting for my very shabby 28 years clinical psychologist handwriting to catch up. I just make a couple of little notes now, and then the rest of the time we're just like this. And so I actually think we cover more territory.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm kind of more fully present,
Yeah.
which is really not something I kind of expected. I'm not 100% sure if it makes my life easier because I spend a lot of time correcting it. So I may or may not keep to it. But that is the innovation that's foremost in my mind when you ask that question.
So I think the audience might be intrigued about the intersection of the psychology and the comedian. And do you want to explore that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. A lot of people say to me, wow, that's a combo, isn't it? I have to be, obviously, I'm never going to talk about anything that a client says to me, it's all confidential. But I do talk about some of the funny elements of being a clinical psychologist more generally. Like, if somebody meets me socially and, at a party or something, and they ask what I do, if I say that I'm a psychologist, I get one of two responses, right? One is to say, oh, that's so interesting, which it is, but I can't tell you anything because it's all confidential. But the other one, you would not believe how often I've heard, is, so can you read minds?
I was going to say, are you staring into my soul? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and so I
totally.
I just wait now, and then I just look them in the eye and I say, I knew you were going to ask me that. And then they don't talk to me for the
You
rest
need
of
to
the
visit Dunedinfringe.nz and buy tickets to my show if you know the answer to that question.
That's right. No, people do. Like the ODT once ran an article about me as a clinical psychologist. This is decades ago. And the title was Relax, You Can't Read Your Mind.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing how many people think that is what we do.
Well, that's the inner insecurity, isn't it?
I guess so. Yeah. But there are some things that are genuinely funny about it. But also, the reason I got into comedy is there's just so many things about life that are genuinely ridiculous and hilarious. And comedy is a great way of conveying things and kind of getting people on the same level at the same time. So I really like comedy that's got a purpose to it. There's some meaning to it. Like, everyday stuff is funny, but most of the sets that I do that I particularly like are ones where it's actually about something that matters as well.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to write a show about something that matters, which is why I chose this health topic that I did. And it's one that we hardly ever hear people talking about, and yet it's a condition that affects up to 50% of women by the age of 70. And it's ridiculous that we don't talk about it. So I use comedy to inform, but people are laughing at the same time. I've got a small list of what that could be right now, and I'd be interested, but I won't go there because who knows what the answer is. I want to come and see your show. Okay, I won't give it all away. No, but there's some secrets in life. Yeah, you do. But there's, I think there's a lot of crossover actually between being a psychologist and being a comedian, because you're attending to people. Like, you're just attending on a different scale. You're with one person, or you're with a room of people. Yeah. There might be 15 people in the audience, or there might be 200. It's not actually that different, Yeah, and we mentioned it before, you mentioned it, that art and culture is just so important. It has to be a part of our lives, and you can be affected by going to a movie, by hearing a song, by going to see a show. Whatever the show, whether it's comedy, whatever, Some things are unforgettable, aren't they? Yeah, they are. There's some movies you'll never forget, right? Absolutely. Yeah. There's some shows you'll never forget, or a book that you read that you'll never forget, And those things are rare, but they do happen, and they really punctuate our lives with meaning and colour. In Praise of Difficult Women would be the book right now on the tip of my tongue. Oh, really? Who's that by? I have no idea who it's by, but it's 38 stories of the very eclectic, amazing, inspiring woman that this person identified. Oh, brilliant. And it's just, really awesome. Highly recommend. So you knew what it was immediately, I did. Right? Yeah. I can't remember who wrote it. But that's fine. Anybody can look that up. Just Google. Yeah. So Dunedin still, I've got no segue opportunity here. So we usually ask people where they like to hang out in Dunedin. Actually, what would be your favourite venue to go to in Dunedin, do you think? We're spoilt, really. I love the fact that you can go to one of so many beaches and you might hardly see another soul there. I mean, I don't mind if there's other people there. They are allowed there too. But, it's pretty amazing to look the length of Long Beach or something, and it's you and a few rock climbers and a sea lion, and that's it. It's amazing. So I love the beaches. I am always excited when the St Clair saltwater pool opens every year. I hate it when it's closed for 6 months. I miss it so badly because I love swimming outside and looking at clouds and seagulls and planes and whatever else is in the sky.
I'm often in Long Dog watching you swim, I think.
Oh,
I love the cafe that's there.
Oh, right. Well, that's right. It's a great cafe. It's a lovely place to take people for a walk.
Yeah.
The Esplanade is accessible if people, like when my son had a disability for a while and we could take him there, like you could go along the Esplanade and still get a little bit of a walk in. And there's so many beautiful places. And for me, it would always be somewhere outside. I think I love Ross Creek. I love Jubilee Park.
Yeah.
Fraser's Gully, anywhere that gets me either looking at the sea or in the bush.
Beautiful. Well, there's a lot of shout outs there that we haven't had on this podcast.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So it's just the different insights that people have from Dunedin.
Yeah, we all have our own favourite little places to hang out. Do. Yeah.
What about the Dunedin legend question? So if you could share a cup of tea or a Ocho hot chocolate with somebody that's a Dunedin legend.
Can we have the definition of Dunedin quite broad geographically, or does it have to be specifically?
It does not have to be Ōtepoti Dunedin.
Okay, because I'm thinking of Moiraki and I'd say Fleur Sullivan.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful woman.
Amazing woman. So she ran Fleur's Place restaurant for a long time, but before that she had multiple other businesses. She had Oliver's and Clyde. I don't know if you ever went there, but she'd come and talk to pretty much everybody in the restaurant.
You really felt like she was so grateful that you were in her restaurant.
So down to earth, and the food was so divine. And yes, it's just very pleasant, chatty, just on the same level as you person, just chatting away, but you're talking to a kind of a celebrity, you know. She's so unassuming. So definitely her. I've met her just in the restaurant a few times. I just thought she was such a special person. If it was somebody who wasn't alive now, it would actually be my great uncle, Alexander Aiken. He was my grandmother's half brother, and there's a tribute to him at Otago Boys High School because he was a brilliant mathematician. So you could give him like an 8-figure number and say divide it by another 8-figure number. He could give it to you like that. And he smuggled a violin into Gallipoli on the boat to keep the troops' morale up. And the violin eventually found its way back to him, and it's in a cabinet at Otago Boys High School. Oh, wow. So he was a genius, but a really interesting person as well.
Another mathematician, creative musical instrument.
Yeah, exactly. Did a whole lot of stuff. I've never thought about that. That's a cool connection to make.
It is.
Yeah.
So he came back and...
He wasn't well when he came back. He had what would now be called post-traumatic stress disorder from the war. And he didn't stay in Dunedin that much longer. He went to work in Scotland. He lectured at, I think, Edinburgh University for a long time.
Wow.
When last year my son, who's at Otago Boys, he and I gave the Anzac address because they always take the Anzac violin on stage for their Anzac address there. And so I did all this research and we made a presentation, my son and I, about Alexander, because the kids walk past, students walk past the violin all the time, but they don't know the story behind it. So we told his story, and when I Googled him, up comes this YouTube clip of him doing one of those equations in his hair. So I got to actually see him and hear his voice, which nobody knew existed.
And put it on YouTube.
This is real crackly black and white footage. But
I can tell you, my son goes to Otago Boys, and he came home after that event and was talking about this exact story.
Oh, that's so cool.
So the boys definitely heard it. Oh,
well, that is so nice to hear.
Yeah.
My son he's year 13 this year, and he did say to me, Mum, don't worry if they look bored. He said they do, everybody looks down and they sort of shuffle their feet, and
it's just awkward.
The rector might tell them off if they're not being attentive. He said, but it's nothing to do with you, don't worry about it. Riveted.
Were they?
They were riveted. I don't think I even had a mic, and my son was pretty brave to get up and talk as well.
Yeah, he was.
All eyes were on us.
Beautiful.
It was amazing.
Yeah, well, I do think those stories of courageous men that have done these things, but also have a real human side to the story. They want to hear it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
it matters a lot more when you actually hear a bit about the person behind something.
Yeah. And I love the way that Otago Boys celebrates that stuff. I think that.
Oh, the whole ceremony was very moving, because since we were part of the official party, we got to do the procession that goes right around the main buildings and then down out the archway with the whole school on guard.
Powerful.
It was almost on in tears the whole time. Like I was
imagine.
trying not to because I'm like at the front and it's me and a bunch of blokes.
Turn around and fart or anything like that.
Not that I'm going to admit to, no.
Now, this has been so much fun and the time is just about gone.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to just remind us all what the show's called, how we can get tickets, and if we feel that we might need some psychological support, perhaps how we can find you for that purpose as well?
Well, yes, my show is called Space Invaders. It's at Dunedin Fringe, March the 13th, and the tickets are on sale at the Dunedin Fringe website. All the information is on there. And there's going to be hard copy programs around town from Thursday. And I can be found on, I've got a website, but I'm embarrassed to tell you, but it's so out of date. And it is just...
I know somebody that can help with that.
I know you do. And we'll have to have a little chat after this. I knew I was going to have to say that to you. My website is so out of date and I'm busy doing this stuff and not getting the website sorted.
Priorities in life.
Yeah,
helping
it's
lots
also
of
not my skill
people
set.
in their life, exactly.
Yeah, it's not my thing. So I have got a website. Anyway, people should still look me up there because they can find me through it. It's just www.nicolabrown.co.nz.
Awesome.
And on social media, it's Nicola Brown. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Got to be these days.
Yeah.
And we can watch you live perhaps at some point in the future.
Yeah. Start doing some Instagram lives.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You're most welcome.
The time has
It's been a
vanished.
delight. Yeah, thank you.
I'm looking forward to your show.
Same. I look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks.